So this week, the randomizer decided that we are going to be talking about Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, another in the long line of Kirby games that are on the Nintendo Classics service. And this is the second week in a row I forgot to bring my Switch down to read the description. So I got to keep remembering to do that. But anyway, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror is a little bit different than most Kirby games because it is a Metroid type game. Unlike the rest of them, it's got non-linear interconnected worlds, which is more like a Metroid game instead of like traditional start point and end point levels. It's a big maze with branching paths and hidden areas. So I really, really liked that change because I went into this completely blind. The only thing I knew about this game was that people were psyched when it got announced about 2 years ago that they added it to the service, or a year ago, a long time ago. Um, so what were your thoughts playing it?
Yeah, yeah, my only the only thing I knew is that it was like the Kirby Metroid game,
Mhm.
and my overall thoughts are pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool game. Uh, n it's hard to kinda compare all of the Kirby games, and I wanna take a step back to the, history of it, and we're talking about Sakurai. Sakurai was a special advisor to this game, which pretty much means he wasn't involved that much in it. He had been the director of the 3 Kirby games before that, and, I mean, if you are a Nintendo fan, Kirby fan, or you've been following this show, you know what it is. HAL Laboratories began developing Kirby games in 1992. They released
Never
9 Kirby
stopped.
games between 92 and 97. Um, for example, and this game released in 2004. They release a Kirby game every year between 2002 and 2006. The only year they did not release a Kirby game, 2001, was Super Smash Brothers Melee. So
And
kind of a
also
big game that year. Yes.
Also, they were supposed to have Kirby Air Riders at that point, which, got canceled, so you could kinda count that in there.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, this 2002, 2006 was Nightmare in Dreamland, Air Ride, Amazing Mirror, Canvas Curse, and Squeaky Squad, which I'm just like, how many of these games have we not played? uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, I wanted to just kind of point out that it's interesting how Laboratories has been around for 45 years. I can kind of remember them doing something for the 40th year. And they've remained consistent. They've been working with Nintendo since 1984, and they've developed developed a game almost every year for that time. And it's so rare, but at the same time, if you
Well,
try
like
to
like I said at the beginning of the episode here, I googled it, there are 40 mainline Kirby games. So that means that according to that statistic, which I didn't dig deeper into, there's other Kirby games they're not counting, which is probably stuff like Smash Brothers and things like that, but still.
Oh, sure. Sure. So, yeah, I'm surprised when I look up this company that there's not more media, but it's like, I was looking at their building, I was trying to see, like, is there anything, like, did they ever do something where they, like, show off development or they go inside their offices? And there's really not a whole lot there. But it would be a great documentary just for someone to do sometime. So yeah, this one, the unique part is that Sakurai was not involved. I'm not sure what I'm not sure why. But this was um mostly developed by a Capcom subsidiary, which I
Mhm.
think is the reason why we see the oh, Zelda, Four Swords. Sorry.
The yeah, yeah, exactly. I was gonna point that out is that this was the era where they were trying to really sell the concept of having the link cable with 4 games together along with 4 swords. Um, which also reminded me of Kirby, All-Stars, I think is the name of it, the Nintendo Switch Kirby game. I have it in my notes, let me see here. Star Allies, sorry. It reminded me of Kirby Star Allies, which have you played that game?
No,
It's
no.
it's another Kirby game where you have 4 Kirbys. They're not Kirbys, you actually capture enemies, but anyway, 4 players, and you can play up to 4 players because the Switch can do that, but you can also play solo, but you have a party of 4 in that game as well, so it reminded me of that.
So I guess the Four Swords comparison is legit. Like that's
Yeah,
what that's what the developer was going for. It's not just something that everyone was
and
comparing to at the time.
even Four Swords took that concept into, Minish Cap. There are sections in the
Yep.
Minish Cap where you split Link into 4 links. They were really just, like, really, really into that idea of the 4 at the time.
Which is also Capcom, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Which is also
Correct.
Capcom. The so the multiplayer, is it something that was ambitious for this game, or was it just that there was with the Game Boy Advance and the link cables and the fact that you'd have to have multiple carts, was it something that was just, more
It's a bad
ambitious?
idea.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was ambitious, but it just didn't work, right?
I think you have to I don't know why they thought the Zelda, maybe I could see that being a franchise where people would be like, "Oh, me and all my friends gotta get it so we can play the multiplayer." But Kirby, I don't know. I don't see that demand being there. It's not a franchise that people tend to look at that way. So and even Zelda isn't traditionally a multiplayer game. So I would think if you wanted to break out that concept, it should have been done with something like Mario Kart or something that people traditionally play together already. Um, so it is weird that they decided to do that where you had to have the 4 carts as well. It's really nice to see that the Nintendo Switch 2 is starting to finally, all these decades later, pull away from that idea and have some games where you can play multiplayer with just 1 copy. It took them this long to get around to that. So, the technology was there. They just didn't do it till now. I don't know if they could have done it on the Game Boy Advance though. Probably not. Like they probably needed the 4 carts for that to work.
There was so much of that technology at the time that is still confusing to me. I mean, there's
Mhm.
just like some black magic stuff, like the fact that like I've talked about in here that if you hooked up your GBA link cable to your GameCube, that was the only way to get to the island on the original Animal
Mhm.
Crossing game.
I
And
saved mine. I still have mine just for that. Like if I ever want to go back and play mine.
yeah, and at the time I'm like, I don't understand why I would need my
Mhm.
Game Boy Advance to go to the island, but that's the cost of admission, I guess.
Wind
I still don't
Waker
understand
used
why.
that too. Wind Waker did the same thing with that you got the Tingle tuner and it let you have like a little mini map on your Game Boy Advance where like you could drop bombs. Uh it was they were you ever hear the phrase technology without a purpose? It was almost like that. Like, okay, we have this tech, we can do it. We don't really know what to do with it. So they were trying things.
That's like slightly more. That's like
Yeah.
slightly more because like I think for Animal Crossing you just plugged it in, turned it on, and and then it showed up, and then you could go to the
Mhm.
island. And then that was the only way to get to change your complexion. Which is crazy to think about at the time, but
Mhm.
anyways, I used to, like, go to the island in Animal Crossing and sit for half an hour because I wanted to have, like, more, like,
Hmm.
olive-looking skin.
I never knew that did that. That's interesting.
Yeah, like, if you go to the island, you actually can get tan if you go there. I was like, "Oh, that's
That
cool,"
was like
because
on the Wii. how they decided that if you walk on the grass, it would wear the grass down. Like they similar concept.
Yeah. But this one's a little bit less woke though. You know, it's a little bit more like
Yeah.
not woke, but I'm joking. Like of course, like in Animal Crossing, you did not get to choose. Well, you get to be like a boy or a girl, but that was it. You did not get to choose what your face looked like. You did not get to choose
Mhm.
if you did not want to have horns. You always had to have horns. So uh yeah. So anyways, going back to this game, it's not a difficult game, and
No Kirby games are. That's like the thing they all have in common is I really feel like this is a franchise that is out there for every release to be somebody's first video game. You know what I mean?
yeah. We mentioned it's kind of Metroidvania, which
Mhm.
I think they did a really good job of capturing that because, in my opinion, a Metroidvania, uh, one of the reasons why it exists is to be able to make a smaller world or a smaller map seem or feel a lot bigger because you have to explore and then open up different parts of the map kind of as you go.
Mhm.
So of course, I think that's one of the reasons why Metroid was first developed. And it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think it captures that essence, and
Well,
then over
another just
having
random trivia fact about the development of Metroid. It was also the thought process was Mario goes left to right, and they wanted to develop something that played more down to up and up to down. So that's why there's so many of those corridors in Metroid. Just a
Mhm,
piece of trivia for you.
mhm. I'm sure it's the reason why also like they thought Metroid or sorry, Samus can go into a to a ball, right?
Yep.
So we can make parts of the map smaller and bigger that way.
Hmm.
Uh, over 20 power-ups. And yeah, some of these power-ups like Missile Kirby or I wrote down a yeah, Missile Kirby I think was the one that I was thinking of. Uh make it make it way too overpowered, but whatever. It's a Kirby game.
Hmm.
Like it's already easy and then some of the power-ups make it even easier, but I think for this game that's fine. Was pretty impressed, you know, having over 20 power-ups, the amount of content they were able to put into this game. So that is a positive as well. There was also 3 mini games, Crackety Hack, Wave Ride, Speed Eaters. I think they are all fine, which is what I would say. Like you know, like it doesn't make the game worse having those mini games on there, and I think they're okay. The overall thought of having the other colored Kirby guys there, it's a nice thought. Maybe it kind of gets in the way sometimes, so a little bit indifferent
Yeah,
on
I
that.
found it distracting in Star Allies as well.
Uh, Dark King DDD, I think it's funny because I think this is something they did a lot back then, where it's like we don't have a lot of space to work with, so let's just take the bad character and render him a little bit darker. Right? This isn't
Yep.
Dark King DDD just like a shit like they just took him and said, "Okay, take the brightness. Okay, we got it."
Yep.
It fits in the game now. Uh, and I'll add this is not a long game, and some speed running stats. Speedrunner Hira, Japanese speedrunner, holds all 3 categories of this game, which are on the official speedrun website, which are something about the boss levels, and then there's any percent, and then there is 100%. And he has all of those. The reason why I bring it up is because the 100% speed run was just broken 20 days ago. So kind of a just a coincidence there that we're talking about it. The 100% speed run is 1 hour, 5 minutes, 1 second. Any percentage, it's like 26 minutes around there. This person also has the first place currently for any percentage in Forgotten Land and glitchless any percentage in Mario Wonder. So, yeah, wow, first in quite a few things.
Speedrunning would stress me out. That's a different breed of person. Like I could never try to attempt a speed run.
Yeah, yeah, it's just
I get
a
stressed playing racing games, man. Like I can't have like something where a run has to be flawless.
it's a different kind of commitment. Because I was looking
Yeah.
through his history too, like he had other runs that went back to, like 8 months ago. So, you know, imagine like working months and months just to get like 2 minutes faster.
Mhm.
But hey, like what I mean, I think once you have a record, I mean, once some if you once someone breaks the record, you still at some point were that record keeper. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, a long way to say that it's not a very long game like most Kirby games, but I I really dig this kind of Metroid style. I don't know, like I think
Mhm.
Metroidvanias fit in well with like
More franchises need to do it. More
yeah,
franchises need to have one of these in there. Um, just
yeah.
yeah. And Nintendo, you've got plenty of properties. You don't have to make Metroid your only Metroid. Uh, throw some of the others in there.
And for some reason I couldn't help but think like because
A Metroid Mario game would be cool.
I think
Go
it's
on.
because of Cuphead, there should really
Mhm.
be there should be a Dark Souls Kirby game. There should be a super difficult Kirby game. There should be a Kirby
Mhm.
game that's marketed as the Kirby that your parents don't want you to play. I I
Well, have
I
you ever
re
seen the meme that Kirby has to be angry in North America? You could have the angriest box art for that game. If you look at the Japanese box art compared to the North American box art for most Kirby games, I'll repost it for this episode. They always change Kirby's face to be mad in the North American box art for some reason.
it
This ain't
might
your daddy's Kirby.
yeah, it might be just the way that we are perceived over here. Or
Mhm,
maybe that maybe Nintendo thinks that, we're still in like this like grunge phase. Which in that case,
mhm,
give us the Dark Souls Kirby. Give us a Kirby that, you know, um that it's not meant for kids. I
hmm.
think I think there would be enough of a market, and I think that, it wouldn't it would open up maybe some other people to the genre, and you could take existing mechanics that you have and just yeah, make it into like a more of a shoot 'em up Dark Souls kind of game. Do it up. Um, I like I like this game a lot. I don't think I'm done with this game. I think I'll go back to it, and I'm gonna put this game at 32 right below Zero Mission for context. And then I don't know where it was when we did it at the time, but Dream Course is currently 24, Dreamland 2 is 29, Dreamland is 30, Crystal Shards is 42, Superstar is 93, Dreamland 3 is 94. So second highest for me.
Me as well. I put it a little higher on my list, but it is also the number 2 Kirby game for me. I liked Dream Course more, and Sean will know exactly why. He and I grew up with that game. We played a lot of Dream Course when it was a contemporary SNES game. So, yeah, you're gonna have to work hard to get better than Dream Course for a Kirby game to us. But I have that at 17. This game I have at 23. I really liked it. I could not in good conscience put it above Tetris, which is number 22 and 21 on my list, the two Game Boy Tetris games. So Tetris was the wall that it couldn't break. It is above Mario Party 3, and I feel okay with that.
Cool. Yeah,
Um,
slightly higher. Yeah, at this point, I think top 40, top 30.
mhm.
I think that's really good. I think I'll come back to this game. We recommend it to any Kirby or Metroid fan. We kind of
I also recommend it to anyone who's looking for. I know the term cozy game gets overused, but if you're just looking for something that's not too difficult and you just kind of want to, play a video game, I do get in those moods where I'm like, I don't want to challenge. I just want to play a game. This is a perfect game for that mood.